2002 Subaru. Story behind this: customer bought it 2 months ago. It was cold, it was winter, and he did not know if the air conditioning was working at that time, because when he test drove it through the winter, he never needed AC. Now that the first warm days have come out, he discovered there's no AC. I have it on the vacuum pump and I cannot bring it below 1700 microns. When I turn off the vacuum supply, it jumps up to 29.9 psi, but basically doesn't drop past that. Now it's 29.9. If you had old style analog gauges, you would never be able to see that the microns were creeping up with a leak. So I know there's a leak, and there's a leak under vacuum. That's not even a option, or Now here's what I found. This had an engine cover on it. I removed the engine cover. Subarus have a known pattern problem of their O-ring seals at their lines going to the top, low side or high side to leak. So this all has an oily residue on it. That is a well-known stated fact over the years of Subaru's problem with the O-rings leaking right here. So that one I'm going to just condemn off the bat because it's a 2002. They've probably never been changed. They have a nice oily residue. Too many years to pass up and not change that. Now there's a dust film over the majority of the engine and everything like that. The person who sold this car was too lazy to take the dust cover off and clean underneath. They kind of hose washed it or steam cleaned everywhere else. But what they didn't do, this was covered, so they left the oily residue here. Now looking down here at this line set, there's a little bit of buildup of dust and oil here that was really caked on. But there's evidence that there was more and they cleaned it off, because the fittings and everything don't even have dust on them. This has the caked on dust down here, so they washed it off with a hose, maybe a light cleaner, but it left evidence of dust buildup that has been cleaned off. So that would have erased your evidence of a leak at the fitting. Coming to the front condenser, the front condenser is clean and dry until you get down to this corner where you see oil buildup and residue. But that is not from the condenser. That actually, if you follow to the backside, is from somebody overspilling and a leak from the power steering that drips down on top of the liquid line, goes down the liquid line, hits the condenser, and then comes over. Somebody might just jump up, "Oh, Mr. Customer, you need a condenser. Look, there's some oil residue right there." But that's actually power steering fluid coming off the other direction. Looks like the power steering pump has been replaced in its life, and that was pretty clean and dust free compared to everything else. Then coming back here to the expansion valve, that's my drip on the green you see from my dye. But the line is clean. This line doesn't even have dust on it. You rub your fingers on there and there's not even dust residue, where everything else has dust residue on it. Even the top of the notorious leaking receiver dryers on Subaru, usually you'll see an oil film up here, but by the looks of it, they cleaned it all off to sell it so somebody wouldn't see. They got a little lazy at cleaning off the oil residue off the expansion valve. So this is a notorious oil leaking area, but you can see this is hard buildup caked on. This was from a long time ago, so it actually caked on really good. But where they were able to clean, there's no residue of oil and there's not even dust. So this is where somebody tries to hide leaks on a car by cleaning them off, but they didn't know how to clean off real good. Just make it good enough to sell it and screw over the customer who's going to buy it, and don't tell them it has leaks or damage. So in this situation, I'm gonna skip the nitrogen test because I know it has a leak. This is one of those situations, if everything is mechanically good, I'm at a shop where I instruct them to totally disassemble all the piping, the hoses, everywhere there's an O-ring, and change every O-ring. And if they're going to keep this car, that's the original receiver dryer. Unfortunately, Subaru really screwed over their customers with the price of their receiver dryers. These receiver dryers, the ones that come with the pressure switch, here in the United States, in our San Francisco area, that's $145 or more just for that receiver dryer, which is actually ridiculous. Receiver dryers are only like 95 cents to manufacture, and after markup they shouldn't be no more than maybe $45, $27 for the cheap aftermarket. But Subaru, you're getting into $300 there almost after the shop markup and everything like that. It's really unfortunate, but that's a fact of life on these Subarus. We have a little bit of a clutch gap starting to develop here. It's not bad, but we have somewhat of a gap there. Not enough that I've seen on these Subarus to start getting that intermittent, when it breaks it won't re-engage problem when it gets warm. So I'm gonna fill it up with refrigerant, and I'm actually gonna run test the system. I'm not just gonna put a test gas amount. I'm not only gonna put like 5 ounces in there or a half pound and look for leaks. I wanna physically know that it's 100% operational, that the expansion valve is metering correctly, the compressor is operating. I know I'm gonna be recovering back out the refrigerant, and some people go, well, why don't you test it with only a little bit so you don't waste so much refrigerant? Or their excuse might be, oh, that takes too much time. Well, how much time will it take if you jump the gun and say, I found a leak here, or I found a leak here, Mr. Customer, let me change everything, and you just change and fix the leaks, then you go to charge it up and find out the compressor is eaten up. Even though you can spin the compressor freely by hand, doesn't mean the compressor is good. So you went through all that, you told the customer it's going to be 250 bucks to change all the O-rings, and then you're coming back to the customer, oh, Mr. Customer, I'm sorry, but I didn't know the compressor was bad and there was metal flakes in there, and they went into the condenser, and not only the condenser, now we got to do your expansion. It's going to be another $2,500 because I didn't test the system before I gave it back to you. I didn't test the system before doing my diagnosis and jumping the gun and just thinking it was O-rings. You need to do a full diagnosis on an AC system prior to turning in your say jump the gun kind of testing or pattern problems. I know these have pattern problems, so do many other people. So here I'm going to go through the process of adding refrigerant. I know I'm there. There. I know that one's closed. This is controlling my refrigerant right now. My line is filled up with refrigerant. I have it on the scale. I know I'm gonna put in the full 600 or 700 grams of refrigerant for test. So watch this. As soon as I kill the vacuum, you'll see it jump up. Boom, 29.9. And basically it's even clicking up from there, but even 15 minutes from now it'll still be 29.9. On a pair of analog gauges you will never see that problem, and this is why you need a good accurate pair of digital and not analog gauges. So closed, got my vacuum closed. Now I'm going to open up and let's measure. Boom. And the refrigerant's going in. As you can see, we're going between 600 to 700 grams. As soon as it's full, we will test the system and look for that hopefully obvious leak under pressure. But still, we want to actually measure and do a performance test on the whole system before just condemning leaks. And anyway, I don't mind doing a recovery because with my recovery unit, it only takes like 60 to 120 seconds to empty out the system with that new recovery unit I have. So I don't really care. I don't really lose any time. If you are unfortunately stuck with an automotive, regular, big giant square box that does your recovery and it takes forever, and you're $150 or $200 an hour, yeah, you would be kind of screaming about that extra time that you're losing. But for my equipment, I don't have that problem. Let's start it up. Put the auto there. Put it on fresh air. minimum temperature. Okay, I already feel it's cold. And we're looking beautiful here. There's no problems. Just cycled off. Feeling for vibrations, listening for vibrations. I don't have my temperature clamps picked on, but I have my calibrated fingers, even through rubber gloves. Got enough decades of doing this on a daily basis, anywhere from 6 to 10 or 12 times a day per system. You kind of get a good feel for what things feel like. When I really want to get precise, I take my gloves off, but that's not what I'm doing right now. And you see I'm feeling on two sides of the receiver. I want to see if there's a really obvious temperature drop. That would indicate a restriction in the filter material inside here. Getting back down here. So mechanically, it's working good. Electrically, it's working good. Its control system is operating properly. Now I'm going to break out my H10 leak detector, electronic leak detector. I'm going to go over this system. I don't think you need me to show you how to do a leak detector, I hope. Unless you're really a newbie and you're just starting, do it yourselfer, but that's not what this video is about. I'll break out my UV light. I'll go over it with my UV light. I'll let the system sit for a while to try to build up a little bit of refrigerant gas under the dash if there's a really small leak, and then slowly turn on and pulse the fan to get a small amount of undiluted air across the leak detector sensor. I'll explain that in another video. It's a different way of leak testing for under the hood, other than just holding a leak test sensor under there. That'll be a detailed, specific refrigerant leak detection video, which I don't have time for right now. I got too much to do today. But mechanically and electrically and controls wise, the system's fine. Now it's just find the leaks, report back to the shop, so the shop could report back to the customer. They make all the money on the labor of materials and labor. I get the diagnosis part of it. They mark it up. I get the recharge part of it, and the shop marks it up. And we're all happy. Customer gets good service. See you on the next video. This is normal pressure and temperature for today's ambient conditions. So for those guys who use the simple little cans and they're trying to obtain some certain special fantasy pressure that they're supposed to actually achieve, on this particular vehicle, on this day, this is normal. That's it for today. Signing off.